Everything seemed simple. One man, one woman, and from them, all of humanity. At least until you turned on your logic. Since childhood, we were told, Adam was the first, Eve came from his rib. And then it all began. Descendants, nations, continents. A story that seemed closed, beautiful, minimalistic, and most importantly, convenient not to touch. But at some point, an itch appears inside, a question, then another. And if you don't shut yourself up, they start multiplying, and you can't stop anymore. If Adam was the first and Eve was part of him, that means they shared the same gene, a single DNA, no variation, no mix, no novelty. By modern genetic standards, their children were already a risk, and the children of those children, a biological trap. This isn't evolution. It's a self-consuming code, inbreeding, a genetic loop, a system where error isn't just possible, it's inevitable. But on this planet we have billions. Billions of faces, shades, tendencies, billions of differences. Even within one family, two children can be completely different. And you're telling me all of this came from one couple? Second question, where are the others? On Cain and Abel's birthday, suddenly we read, Cain had a wife. Wait, a wife? From where? If he was the first son, if his only brother was Abel and no women were mentioned, then where did she come from? Either there's something we don't know, or the story wasn't as simple as it was presented. Third question, why the rib? Why not the hand, or hair, or a tear? Why not create her separately, in parallel? Why from him? It feels like a symbol of submission, of dependence. And it feels less like love and more like a construct. Maybe the story of the rib wasn't the beginning of a family, but the beginning of a program, the start of a hierarchy, where woman was taken out of man, where dependence was embedded from the start, not as love, but as architecture. Fourth question, if they were the first, where did all the clones come from? Where in this equation are races, features, regions, body types, mutations, specifics? If you start with one pair, to get a billion unique bodies would require millennia of genetic evolution. But something accelerated, too fast, too different, too incompatible, which means someone added variables, inserted genes, or added other pairs. Maybe we're not just from Adam and Eve. Maybe we're from multiple lines, from different labs, different origins. And Adam and Eve, that's just one version, a convenient one that fits into a children's book. Have you ever wondered why our bodies contain liquid with a clearance level? Blood, red, alive, the carrier of life, and at the same time, a lock. There are 4 blood types. There's the Rh factor. There's a concept called compatibility. But no one explains why within one species in one biological structure, nature decided to create incompatible systems. If you try to save someone's life with the wrong blood type, you might harm them, even kill them, not because you're bad, but because your blood doesn't accept theirs. Your blood doesn't speak. Your blood is foreign. How does that align with the idea that we all come from one source? First blood type, hunters, rough, strong, universal, can give to all but receive from few. It's a survival type blood, strength, motion, aggression, instinct. Second, farmers, appeared later, those who started adapting, taming, building, accepting. The energy no longer exploded outward, it turned inward, into acceptance, into control. Third, nomads, flexible, adaptive, displaced, not rooted, yet not living in conflict. A modification, a combination, people connectors. Fourth, rare, foreign, mixed, mysterious. Some scientists even call it anomalous. It doesn't resemble the others. It seems to have something extra, something missing from the rest. Now the Rh factor. Did you know that a negative Rh factor exists in only a tiny percentage of people? And it can create conflict even within one family. A mother may reject her child. Her body might attack the fetus. Nature rejecting its own. This isn't a coincidence. It's as if someone deliberately built in a prohibition against mixing. If we were one family, why embed mechanisms that prevent us from uniting? Why, even within the same race, can one person be biologically incompatible with another? Now imagine, if you wanted to create a society where no one was meant to unify, where the same could never merge with others, you'd do exactly this. Categorize blood that doesn't match, and most importantly, we accept it as normal. No questions asked. You can't donate to everyone? Well, okay. Just different groups. Just biology. No, it's not just biology. It's one of the smartest blockages in the matrix. You can talk, hug, worship the same gods. But on a cellular level, you are foreign. And if someone embedded that in our life code, it means someone really didn't want us to become a unified species. You speak a different language? You're foreign. You live across a line. You're not one of us. And no one remembers who drew those lines anymore. Imagine, two people, two brothers, lived together, laughed, understood each other without words, until one day, they fought. One walked away, not silently, but with a clear plan. I'll invent my own words, my own verbs, my own stress accents, so you'll never understand me again. And thus language was born. Sounds like a joke? Now look around. Hundreds of languages, hundreds of accents, hundreds of ways not to understand each other. There are more than 7,000 languages in the world. Systems, rules, exceptions, grammar, syntax, tenses, conjugation, and every nation thinks their language is the main one. All others, difficult. Our language is logical. Theirs, impossible to learn. But wait, if everything came from one pair, one human lineage, one species, why don't we all speak the same language? You think language developed naturally, don't you? That a human, whose main concern was survival, suddenly decided to invent not just a few words, but a fully structured, repeatable system of communication, with verbs, with gender and number agreement, with tenses, idioms, and rules, and exceptions to the rules. That's not just communication. That's a code. Have you ever tried learning a language from scratch? You feel stupid. You feel lost. You don't get why they say it that way, because it's not logical. It's a program, a separate firmware, built not for understanding but for separation. So now the real question, who approved all this? Who decided this language is national? This one is dying, this one is forbidden, this one is sacred, and this one is just primitive? Who handed out the labels? Language became a flag. The flag became a divider. And suddenly, if your sound is wrong, you're not one of us. You can be laughed at, excluded, replaced, simply because your accent is off. At some point, language stopped being about connection and became a weapon of identity. Say a word with the wrong intonation, and people already know who you are. Not by your eyes, not by your actions, by your sound. And it works. It's been working for so long that no one even remembers how we started speaking differently in the first place. Maybe languages didn't evolve, maybe they were installed. As barriers, as noise, white noise between souls. So no one could ever truly hear another. So people would forever remain strangers, even while staring into the same eyes. You walk up to a line, you look at a field, and someone tells you, you can't go there. Why? Because there's a border. Have you ever really asked yourself, where do borders come from? Not metaphorically, literally. Why is this field yours? And just past that bush, suddenly it's not. Why is one side of the river one country, and the other something entirely different? Who decided where your freedom ends, and someone else's begins? Once there were no countries, no flags, no passports. There was land, and there was man. But one day, a chief looked at another and said, let's make a deal. From that mountain to this river, it's yours. After that, mine. And the other said, fine, But let's draw a line, so your people don't wander into mine. And thus the first invisible line was born. A line now treated as more real than the land itself. Centuries passed. Nothing changed. Now you look at a map and see lines, boxes, shards, each piece of land treated like a puzzle you're not allowed to move. But the earth doesn't know it's been sliced. The earth never agreed. Now watch how it plays out. You walk through a forest, through plains, through desert. The wind is the same. The sun is the same. But cross that invisible line, and everything changes. New language, new flag, new laws, a new way people look at you. Just 100 meters ago, you were simply a human. Now you're a foreigner. Why? Why is the border here and not a few meters over? Why is the border drawn along the river and not the tree? Why are you one of us in this village and a threat in the next? There's only one answer. Because someone decided, a long time ago without you, and now you live by rules you had no part in creating. On a land they taught you to worship, but never share. You can't just walk freely. You need a passport, a stamp, a permit, just to cross to the other side of a field. Borders are no longer protection. They're prison markings. They don't guard land. They guard the illusion of difference. You live in a system where a 100-meter walk can turn you into a threat, an intruder, an illegal. But if you could see the earth from above, without lines, flags, or names, you'd see that the planet is one. It always was. It always will be. The borders aren't real, but they're defended like they're sacred. We used to laugh at jokes as kids. Silly little stories with 3 characters, always from different races. One is smart, one is dumb, and one is just weird. No one ever questioned it, we just accepted it. Of course he's like that, he's from there. And in school they told us skin color was about the sun. They lived in hot places, so their skin darkened. Makes sense, right? Then, why the eye shape? From looking at the sun too much? Really? Then how come some people from cold regions still have dark skin, or dark eyes, or curled hair? Why are we still in the 21st century explaining genetics like it's a children's drawing? The truth is, we don't know. And the system doesn't want us to know. Instead of the truth, we were given a template. First, the outer one, skin, eyes, nose. Then the behavioral. Oh, if they're from there, they'll act like this. Then the linguistic. Oh, they don't speak our language? Say no more. You ever notice how fast we judge? Someone walks in, and your brain already decided. Nationality, intelligence level, spiritual depth, danger factor, respect level, all of it, just based on their face and the way they sound. We don't even try to see deeper. If someone speaks weird, we assume they're dumb. If they don't sound like us, we think they're not developed, even though that person might be the most conscious, awakened, brilliant soul you'll ever meet. But you'll never know, because in your mental filter their accent is a flaw, and that's it. They're dismissed. That's how the block works. You never even try to feel who they are, because the system trained you to judge the surface. School never taught us to feel people. It taught us to recognize types, by accent, by name, by skin, because as long as you judge, you'll never see the real person, and if you never see them, you'll never connect. And if you don't connect, the system wins. The Matrix divided us on the outside, so we'd never unite inside. They gave us bodies, but took our identity. They gave us languages, but took understanding. They gave us flags, but took the earth. But there's one thing they couldn't touch. Consciousness. That thing you're feeling right now, that's it. You could have been born anywhere, in any country, to any family, with any accent, any skin tone, any flag on your passport. But none of that is you. It wasn't made by you. It was made for you. Everything you know about yourself, someone told you first. You are this. You're from here. You must do this. You can't do that. But who decided that? And why did you believe it? Maybe you're not from a nation, but from spirit. Maybe you're not a race, but a pulse. Not a language, but a vibration. Not a religion, but inner light. Everything you were taught about yourself might have been a lie, and probably was. It doesn't matter what language helped you realize this. What matters is, you realized it. You may forget the facts, you may forget the chapters, but you'll never forget the moment when reality began to shake beneath your thoughts. Maybe this whole world is code. Maybe none of it is real. But if you've woken up, then you're the one writing the next chapter. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of this channel. If you have your own theories about where we come from, why we're here, and what it all means, share them in the comments. I'd love to hear your stories and your truth. Until next time. See you in the next video. Wishing you clarity, warmth, and awareness.